Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. We are on the line. This is our travel episode. We are going to talk to you about why it is important to leave your hometown. We're going to play a little word association game, then talk to you about college and studying abroad. And then we're going to make it a little bit more broad, talk about why it's important to travel, followed by another game we'd like to call rapid fire round, where we give you an elevator pitch, convince someone to move, a few ways to make travel affordable. And then we're going to dive into our travel stories. To my right here, we have Crystal.
Hey y'all, and that is John.
What's up? And we have our host, Steven.
What's going on, everyone? I am Steven, your host for today's podcast. We like to think we know what we're talking about. We're not dummies. We are now on the line. And so first, we're going to start with our word association game.
Although we didn't clearly think this one out, but you guys are going to end up having to say your word at the same time because I don't want it to influence each other by what you guys say. So I'm just going to say the words, and first thing that comes to your mind, bang, you say it. All right.
All right,
So our
let me get in
first
the travel mood.
travel
Let's
move.
go.
This is the
I'm ready.
travel word association. All right. Jet lag.
Sleepy.
Flight.
Abroad.
Study.
Flight.
Foreign.
Language.
Spain.
And hometown.
Plainfield.
Road.
That's
Woo,
interesting.
woo.
Nice. Good word association. Maybe not the best word association, but good word association.
Did Steven say light for both the first two?
He said, I think he said
That's flight.
flight. Yeah.
Oh, flight.
Flight.
For jet
both?
lag, he said
Yeah.
flight for both. I mean, first thing that pops to your head, flight, right?
Yeah.
Jet lag. You
I
said sleepy. That makes
Oh
a lot
my
of
gosh,
sense.
so tired.
Yeah.
We also said foreign language, definitely a great word to associate with it. Spain, maybe. I mean, I guess that's foreign to some, for most people that aren't from Spain. And I said
I said
abroad. So
study.
you said study abroad. Steve said flight. Again,
Yep.
beautiful answer. Abroad, you
Yeah.
gotta probably fly to go abroad, probably.
Probably.
And
I'm
what
kind
I
of
thought was interesting for hometown, Crystal, you said Plainfield. Do you consider Plainfield your hometown versus Chicago?
yeah. I mean, well, definitely feel like we grew up in Chicago as kids, but for me to like actually recognize growing up was when we actually moved to the burbs to Plainfield. So I consider it my hometown. I did most of my growing up there till I
Growing
was
up, yep.
18. So that's my hometown. Shout out to all my P-Villians. We don't call them that. I don't know why I said that.
Because I personally consider when people say what's your hometown, I say Chicago versus Plainfield. So I mean, I guess it's also because I'm, outside of Chicago. So it's like explaining where you're from. It's a lot easier to say Chicago, place that people know. I mean, what do you consider your hometown, Steve?
I would definitely consider Chicago as my hometown, even though I kind of
Really?
grew into myself at Romeoville. It's I consider Chicago as my stopping ground. We're gonna move over to our first topic here. We're gonna talk about college and studying abroad. Why it's important to travel while you're in college.
Okay, I'm going to go first. I think everyone should leave their hometown at some point, whether that's in college or after college, whatever. I think it's so important to just get some new experiences out of the place you grew up in. Why is that important? Number one, I think you get an experience that helps you find yourself and it helps you learn more about yourself than you would if you just stayed home. I'm a huge advocate for people going to apply to colleges and universities outside of your hometown, whether that's just in the nearby city or outside of state or even in a different country. I support it 100%. There's something about just living on campus with other students who are also trying to find themselves. You're having fun, you're studying, but you have like this support system from people who are all experiencing the same time in life. It's undescribable, just the experience you get from living without your parents. It's hard at first. It's hard leaving everything you've ever known to start anew.
I think that makes sense. I think because one of my points is, you know, I was gonna actually follow up by saying what, like, I guess college is probably, the easiest transition to move to a different place, because you kind of have that security blanket of school. If you go out there and you try to find a job, like you say, I'm gonna go to California. I'm gonna go to California. You go try to find a job, and you have to get an apartment and all that stuff. Like that's a lot to go on. So I think when you decide to do it when you're in college, you have that safety blanket. Like, okay, there's the college dorm systems. You're there for school. There's resources to support you and all that stuff. That's probably why college would make more sense than to do it after college. And I also think my point is, go where you want to end up. Go to college in a place that you eventually want to be. So I personally kind of had two options. I was gonna do film and television. It was like LA or New York. And ultimately, I just preferred New York. It was a lot more like Chicago than LA would be. And so when I did choose to do college, I went to NYU because I knew it was in New York. And I think if you go to college where you want to eventually end up, that's where you make your contacts in college. That's where you do your internships. So if you get kind of embedded into the city before you have to, hey, go find a job and make a living. So it's a lot easier when you do it in college.
When I was considering studying abroad in college, I was like, I want to go to like Japan or something, something wild, somewhere that I probably wouldn't end up anyways. I figured it was like my opportunity to go see the place, right? So I think being able to piece together that you pick the destination where you do see yourself ending up in is huge because like you said, you have those resources. You have the security blanket of school. You don't have to worry about finding a job and supporting yourself at that point. If you do pick a place where you see yourself ending up, then it could end up working out. I mean, you ended up in New York. Look at you.
You said you wanted to do like Japan or something like that. Did you ever think like a foreign language? Did that ever like enter your mind? Like, oh, I don't know how to speak the language. I probably shouldn't consider that place as a place to go. Or did that not cross
Uh,
your mind?
it did definitely. It was probably one of the reasons why it was one of the biggest obstacles as to picking a place to study abroad. And then after I realized that there are more, obstacles than resources for me, I was just like, maybe I shouldn't study abroad. I just stayed in my comfort zone and here I am.
I think that's like a good way to learn the language though, because everybody in your study abroad program, I don't know if this is all study abroad programs from, but what I've learned is that you go with a group of classmates from your school and you go to like kind of like a co-op where like there's like a bunch of other universities, all these like buildings and dorms are all people who are studying abroad. You're kind of around these people who also kind of have that language barrier, and then you could just like get support from each other. And I think the best way to learn a new language is just immersing yourself in that culture in that country because you have
Yeah.
to basically force yourself to learn. Otherwise, you can't do anything.
Right.
So don't let that deter you from studying abroad. I think even if you don't know the language, you'll learn it.
That's definitely true. Because I also one of my points was like in college, and then because it's important to travel, I think study abroad is definitely a great opportunity to do it. And also, it doesn't always have like when you study abroad. I think when you pick a college, you should do it in mind of where you end up want to be. But when you study abroad, I think more in the terms of Steven's kind of style, where it's like go to a place that you probably would never end up going, and I know a lot of people who end up not doing that because they're like, I don't speak the language. But to be honest, for most countries, kids are learning English before, like in elementary school or whatever the equivalent of a elementary school is. So there's so many people all around the world that do speak English. And also there's people around you that also are like kind of learning the language and they might be able to help you and they probably will.
Jen, since you actually, out of the three of us, were the only one that actually studied abroad, what is the best thing you got from it? And what's like kind of like a con?
I studied abroad in Australia, and I did that because I was like, I'm never really ever gonna go to Australia. It's so far away for where I live.
Hmm.
So if I can take this opportunity to go there now for like educational purposes,
Yeah.
then what a bonus! What a huge bonus! And also because I was also tentative about a language barrier, and I was like, they just speak weird English, so really easy. I don't have to learn anything, just like weird vernaculars. And I think one of the biggest pros was it felt almost like a vacation. So it was like 5, 4 months, 4 to 5 months of what felt like just a vacation because you were away from your regular college that I was in. I was away from NYU, but I was still in classes, taking classes, but there's y you're just in an environment that's just so different that it feels almost like a vacation. Also, Australia helps because they have beaches, they have all these hiking trips. If you were in, like, some place that was, like, in, like, Denmark where it was super snowy and cold, maybe it wouldn't feel like a vacation. And I think one of the biggest cons was it's kind of isolated in the sense that of course, there's a bunch of people and you're in a different country with everyone to, expand upon. But the way my university did it is that NYU students were all in one dorm. And so there's really not much in terms of branching out that you could do unless you really did it on your own time to go and meet other people. But mainly, I would just interact with people from NYU because you're comfortable with that. People are from America, they understand you, they're in school with you. So you kind of just get bubbled in with them.
Yeah, I feel like that's not that big of a con. So I'm gonna tell everybody,
Not
y'all better study abroad.
study abroad. And
And you know
if you
that
do
you're
Australia, it's the time zone difference. So if you do like want to talk to family and stuff, you really have to kind of piece the right time to do it. Depending on where you are, it could be like 12 hours, 16-hour difference. And it gets hard to communicate with people from America or wherever you're originally from.
but like in terms of family and also related to your first point, vacation, we actually went to go visit John when he was in Australia. So it was a vacation for us too.
Oh, nice vacation at that.
That was a nice vacation. We got to see kangaroos. And honestly, if you go to Australia, pro tip, do not bring bananas with you. They are going to charge at you full speed. And it's honestly
Do
I
terrifying.
not
didn't even go with them.
It
do
was
not
so
feed
scary.
wild kangaroos. They are wild.
They literally like all saw the bananas or smelled it or had like some sixth sense. And they all like jumped up and turned towards us and started running towards us.
There
And
was
we were like,
one
throw the
kangaroo. There was
bananas.
one kangaroo that thought I had food in my camera bag, and I basically got like bear hugged and clawed all over my
Oh my
body.
God. I there was a kangaroo about to attack me, so I was like paused, and I'm like, "Someone help me!" And literally, Steven and my other friend who went with us like did not care. They left me.
It's
They're like,
also
"You'll be
kind of
fine."
what people don't realize is like kangaroos, when they have kangaroos in their pouches, it's not, they don't just like tuck in and they're like their
No,
head poking out. It's like dangling limbs.
Yeah,
It's the
like
most terrifying thing.
it's horrifying.
it's like there's a mangled body in the pouch.
But once they calm down, like you can actually pet them, and they're kind of chill. Just don't bring food. Just hang out with them.
But anyways, aside from the time difference and basically staying in an NYU dorm in Australia, what would be What do you think would be like the biggest barrier of traveling to Australia?
I think one of the things is, especially with studying abroad, and it kind of goes for college in general as well. If you go away, is that you can't immediately see family in that sense. And like even friends from like your hometown, like you're kind of cut off in that sense. So like I was kind of used to it because I went to NYU, which is away from a good amount away from Chicago. You can't just drive and go. Really, it's a
Right.
12-hour drive, and everything that they always would have you talk to a counselor and be like, oh, so it's going to be an adjustment to be out here. But I kind of told them, what I'm going to tell you is that it wasn't that much different when I considered Australia versus New York because it was a big city and it was a place that was far enough away to where I really didn't have a immediate connection to like family and friends from Chicago or my hometown. That would definitely be one of those barriers that I can see a lot of people having trouble with is you won't be able to connect with someone immediately. You have that delay. You have however many hours on a plane to get somewhere. You're basically apart. And if that's something that you can handle, I would maybe do those incremental steps. Like, okay, so now I'm in a different state, and then from a different state, now I'm in a different country. And, kind of play how you personally would feel in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of a negative, but adding a positive to that is that technology is pretty crazy now. And we got FaceTime. We have like literal a bunch of apps that you could use to like call abroad for free because people used to have to pay a ton of money just to talk to their family, but now you could literally talk to your family from anywhere with video for free. So I feel like it's a lot easier for our generation. So I would
Side
also
note,
not let anyone
I
feel nervous about that.
It sounds like most of these skills that you've learned to live with, or you've noticed the differences is just because you've already gone to college in a different state where you were basically apart from your
exactly.
family. So that's why it's important. So
Important.
To
it's very
get out
important.
of your hometown. Yeah, so we talked a lot about studying abroad, but I kind of want to circle back to why you should leave your hometown by going to another college, or to a university or college outside of your hometown. And Steven went to junior college at first, and he, I don't remember, I think he went to a different university, and you also lived at home. So you kind of left your hometown, late in the game compared to a lot of people who just go right after high school. So do you think because you left late in the game that it was still beneficial, or you think you could have lived without it?
It was definitely beneficial. Like she had mentioned, straight out of gates from high school, I did not leave my parents' house. I went to a community college, uh, and I did that for a few years, where I then later transferred to a university where I actually lived on campus. At that point, I was a little bit older, but there were still a lot of things that I didn't find out about myself until I lived on my own. Um, I found out that I'm the neat freak out of all of the roommates that I lived with.
Including me,
Yeah. Um,
live with your significant other before you like do anything crazy.
yeah,
You
you
learn a
definitely
lot.
find out a lot about yourself and you find out how you handle a lot of different things when you're on your own and when you're not with a support system like a family right by your side to kind of guide you along the way or catch you if you trip up. I had to do that a little bit later in my life, but I feel like I was unprepared until I actually just started living on my own.
Yeah, that commuter life, man. I don't I see I mean, there's huge financial benefits to being a commuter, but I think in the long run, it definitely helps to live on campus. And there's like two different types of campuses that you can live on. I've actually had the privilege to do both. There's the college campus where it's the colleges there and there's nothing else. It's the only part of the land that's important. And then there's the city college where the city is embedded in the college and it's literally there's almost no campus really. So, there's 2 ways to do it. They both have their benefits. I mean, we could speak on the differences between those 2 colleges as well. But, like, as a commuter, I think as much money as you might save in the short run, the connections that you make when you go on campus is gonna lead to probably a better financial future eventually.
The life experience that you get living on your own, living on campus, making those connections is so far more valuable than saving that money. I mean, you do save money, a lot of money up front. That is, if you commute, but you won't get that experience by commuting. That'll actually take you so much further.
Yeah, and to add to that, if you go to a college and leave, your support system at home, I know a lot of people are scared to leave their family because that's like the only support system they've ever known. But that saying where like you don't choose family, but you can choose your friends. In college, you get that opportunity to choose the people who are your support system. And I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I've definitely gained some lifelong friends in college. Not a lot, I think it's like two or three, I could say for sure, are my lifelong friends. But they're people that you choose based on your own, values and beliefs and everything in other people who love you and support you because they choose to, not because they have to, like your family. So it's like a whole different type of support system that you have for the rest of your life.
That is true. Maybe in the case of roommates, like you get real close to roommates because they're your roommates, and if you live with them for a little longer than a year, then you kind of are strangely linked to them for a random reason. Other than that, I think yeah, you definitely get to choose the people that you affiliate with.
Yeah, and last thing I want to say before we move on is it's never too late. That was my one thing I wanted to say. Never too late to leave your hometown, get a new experience. I feel like especially with millennials right now, everybody is has no money and you have to stay at home with your parents and it's really hard to make that change. But trust me, if you're motivated enough and you organize yourself and you plan, you'll make it. And I think it's never too late. You need to remember that. And it's just gonna be better for you overall if you just take that chance, get get that experience. It's gonna definitely change you for the better.
So next, we're gonna move into a broader topic: traveling in general. Why? Why is it important to travel? Why travel at all? What is the significance in traveling? Why would not traveling hurt you in the long run? What can you
Physically hurt
gain
you.
from traveling?
How long is Steven gonna go before we start talking?
Yeah. So one thing about travel that I I do end up mentioning to people a lot is that traveling is definitely a privilege. It is not something everyone gets to do. So the idea is that if you have the opportunity to do it, definitely do it because not everybody gets to do it. It's a privilege. There's people that get to travel all over the world. They say they do. Oh, I go to London, or I go to Spain for the summer, or I go to some place in California for the summer, or whatever, because that's just their life. There are people that live in Brooklyn that have never been to New Jersey. There are people in New Jersey that's never been to Brooklyn. They're so close together. It's like a train bus away, but you know, travel's a privilege. So if you can travel, make sure you do because not everybody has the opportunity to.
That's huge. I didn't even think about that. but so true. Not everybody has the resources and everything to do go anywhere. What I want to say about traveling is it's a part of the human experience. Just going to a new place, whether that's just like a different city or if you go to a different country, you are putting yourself in a place where people interact differently, they talk differently, they might have a different accent, they might speak a whole new language. It's something that you haven't been exposed to before, and it makes you connect with other people on a different level. I don't know if that makes sense. But like you have a
Yeah.
whole new perspective on the human experience. Just example like going to a different country, you can taste foods that you've never tasted, taste different flavors that you never tasted. You'll see things that you never thought you could see in person. Like pictures and videos will never do the world justice, you know?
Yeah.
Seeing everything in person is mind boggling, mind blowing. And I think it brings you like a little bit of like, what's the word? You're like more humble as a human because you can see how other people live, whether that's better than you, whether that's worse than where you're at. And being able to see those comparisons and understanding a way of life that's different of yours, you are able to be more empathetic towards everyone around you. And I feel like empathy is huge in terms of just living a good life.
That is definitely true. Especially the idea of like, I mean, this is probably making your point a little less serious, but like a banana here is not the same as a banana in Spain. Like they really do grow differently. That's why like wines are so like people are like, oh, where's it from? Blah, blah, blah. People do things very differently. And even just country to country, it's it's different. So little things that you'll see like, oh, that's kind of cool. And also love accents. If you travel, you know, it's so much easier to pick up an accent when everyone has it. So huge plus right there. So definitely like if you really want to nail an accent, just go to a different country because then you'll hear people and you'll pick up little parts and little vernaculars that sometimes just become ingrained into your system for a little bit at least. So yeah, that's definitely you definitely get that awareness when you do travel. So I think that point's great.
When I travel, I like to find myself living, in their culture. I want to see what their day-to-day kind of perspective on life is. I know I'm getting like a very small sample of it, but it's what I take away the most when I travel. I try to see how people move, how people think, what is important in day to day responsibilities in these areas. I eat their food. I try to be one of the locals. Picking up on the accents is something that I am horrible at. I mean, I could barely understand some people at work already. So I just don't have an ear for it. But I like to take away a lot of the little things when I travel, just because it opens up my mind as to what I find important or where my priorities are. It helps me find these things in myself, and learning how other people kind of take these things into account in their own lives is just like an observation that I like to make when I go travel, just because it helps me learn more about humanity in that sense and where I lie on that spectrum.
Here's a question for you. What is there anything that you do specifically to put you in that mindset? Because for me, when you travel, especially when it's just like a short time, like a weekend or a week, something like that, it's just like to me, I'm in vacation mode. I'm not here to learn. I'm not here to do anything. I'm not gonna embrace the culture. Of course, I'm gonna see certain things and aspects. But is there anything specifically that you do when you travel, say, especially in a short trip? How do you end up doing what you just mentioned? Like how do you like really kind of is there any exercises you do to get into that culture or into that the people that live there?
In the shorter trips, let's say if I'm taking a longer weekend, the things that I can pick up is how people how people carry themselves, right? So it's like their manners. If let's say following someone and they walk into a building, Are they holding the door for me? Are they even noticing that I'm there? Are they going to acknowledge that I even exist? Right? Because I mean, I'm sure you know the differences from here in New York. I've gone to New York and I've held the door open for people and they're like, "Wow, you're so nice." I'm like, "Following me. What am I supposed to do?" So it's
That was
like
by accident,
that's
sir.
yeah, so it's like something like that. I try to pay attention to how people dress, how I dress in comparison to how people dress. I know when I went to Australia, I'm sure I brought like two, three, four pairs of Jordans. I brought my phone posits, Roches. Shoes are important to me. When I go there, people are wearing whatever. It's like
Ryan
fashion is
Crocs.
still a thing there, but it's not as important, let's say, as it is in Chicago, right? Where you get judged by what you wear. And so these things I found were not important in other places. And so I know that, the appearance of someone does matter, but not as much as I see it to be from where I'm from.
Yeah, like
Even
the societal value in different places is completely different. Like I agree.
Just
Like
like
in New York,
noticing little elements.
yeah. But honestly, like if I were to answer your question, you literally don't even have to try to learn. Cuz like you're going to go to these places and you're just going to like be on vacation and do whatever that you're going to do. But when you come back, what's going to happen? People are going to be like, "Hey, how was your vacation?" And now you have to talk about what happened. And everything you say is something new that you learned. So that's to me like accidental learning. And you know more than the person who just asked you, like, how was that place you went to? Like, they've never been there. So many people in the world can say they've never been where you've been. And just by being there and vacationing there, you have a whole new experience, a whole new learning experience that people will never have. So it's just accidental. Just by
Like
going,
an
you're
inherent
learning.
thing that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think so too, yeah. Cause like, yeah, people do ask about like, "Oh, so what do people in Australia do?" And it's like, I don't even like think about it like inherently when I'm there, but it's like, "Oh, well, at at Tuesday, at 8 p.m., everybody's at home. Ain't nobody out doing nothing. It's
Oh
there's
my
no
God.
nightlife."
Why does
And
everyone go home at 6?
it's
Jeez.
so weird, especially the juxtaposition with like New York, where literally if you go outside at 2 in the morning and you walk down the street, there's probably more people there than Australia on a regular day. So it was definitely really weird. But that's something that you like kind of pick up. I don't watch it and like study it as I'm there. But when somebody asks me about it, it's like, by the way, ain't nobody out.
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that for sure.
think I actively seek these things, these differences.
You are a whole nother level. You are a whole nother
I'm
spiritual
trying to
level than
get
us.
more than just a walking experience.
I think that's awesome. That's cool. I wish I could do that. Well, sometimes I am. Like if I'm in a like a different country, I feel like I do that. But if I'm going to like, I don't know, Michigan, it's like next door to us. I feel like I'm not. Ooh,
First
what
of all,
is this?
ouch.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Michigan
What?
I love
fans.
Michigan.
Jeez.
I love Michigan. I'm sorry. I
Not
went
like
to the
we were
Upper
from
Peninsula.
Oklahoma,
I really like the Upper Peninsula. We went camping there. It was a good time.
but the rest
Actually,
of
there
it.
was an interesting story with that we'll tell you guys about later.
Steve, do you like seek out interactions with people just to see how they react? In a sense, like, would you like be like, okay, I'm gonna hold this door open for this person, and we'll see how they respond.
No, but I'd probably more. I'm more open to starting a conversation. Definitely when I'm somewhere other than in Chicago or Illinois in general. Um, Being in a different place, I just want to see. Like, I want to eventually break down how their mind works. Right. I'm actively trying to piece their thoughts in the way that it happens, the way that they're pieced. Like I structure my thought process differently so I can try to pick their brain.
I guess I do that too, but I do it more in a mocking way. It's like
Oh my
I kind of want to.
gosh.
I kind of want to see how they would react to certain ways. Because then, I always say this phrase because I guess I'm not really making fun of him, but I love saying it when you're like, because we asked this guy from Australia, we were there the first week, and we're like, oh, so what should we do when we travel around here? What can we do? He's like, oh, you could just grab a car and just grab some petrol and go up the cars. And I've always said that line just like in a mocking way, but it's like not really mocking. I just think it's hilarious because he had a lisp and he was from Newcastle, and just the way he said, you should just get petrol and just go up the cars. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. I'm gonna say that all the time. So I think that's what I pick out because it's like, oh, this would be hilarious to say later.
No, yeah, I'm definitely looking for like those raw tidbits of like full culture of a different country. And I think because I'm so fascinated by those moments, it's what I focus on doing when I travel. Those are a few of our tips for why traveling is important. Next, we're gonna do this thing we call a rapid fire round. Basically, is an elevator pitch. Uh, basically to like give advice.
Yeah, just a little more fast paced. Think on your feet.
So the first one, rapid fire round. Advice. What is advice, or how would you convince someone who's on the fence of moving away? Crystal, go.
You do not have to answer to anyone. You thought, my parents are going to find out I have a curfew. My parents want me to be home at this time. Everybody's going to be texting me where I'm at. Ain't no one caring about what you're doing when you're living on your own. That's the best. You have your personal space, personal time. Do whatever you want. You don't have to answer anyone. Obviously, be safe when you're living on your own. But there's something about having full autonomy of what you get to do.
Right? Advice for someone who's on the fence of moving away? Steve.
It's so much more important to be in a place where you are not comfortable, somewhere where you haven't been before. You learn so much about yourself. You could be anyone you want. You don't like where you are now. You don't want to be in this place forever for the rest of your life, doing the same thing over and over. Moving out will definitely help you learn how to get away from your current life, grow as an individual, grow as an adult, and get you to where you want to be later on in your life.
Elevator pitch. Advice for someone who's on the fence about moving out. Jun.
Moving away not only benefits you, it benefits others. So what you do is you open the door for everyone in your family to come out. Like me, I went to Australia. Guess what? Crystal Steve came to Australia. I'm in New York. People have come, my family has come to New York and visited plenty of times. And I hope in the future that, if you go to a college at a certain place, your kids or other people's kids, now they have that proof. Hey, you can do this. You can go to another state and you can do what you got to do. So it opens doors for everyone, not just you.
Role model. I like that.
Next one tip for living on your own for the first time. Go, Steve.
Don't overdo it. No matter what it is, you know what it is. You're going to overdo it. Don't overdo it.
Why do I feel like that's directed toward me?
It hit you in a certain spot. That was
Yeah,
meant
don't
for
overdo it,
everyone.
guys. Don't overdo it.
That was meant for
Don't
everyone.
overdo it.
Elevator pitch. One tip for living on your own for the first time. Jun.
Make it fun. You're on your own. This kind of goes along with what Crystal said earlier. You're on your own. You make your own decisions. As you can see, my room is how I make my room. No, ain't nobody telling me what to do. I put everything where I want to put it. So make it fun. Have fun with it. There's got to be something that you weren't able to do back at home that now you can do.
One tip for living on your own for the first time. Crystal, go.
I want you guys to get out there and I want you to stay out there. I don't want you to fail. And the only way to be successful in terms of a financial situation is make a spreadsheet or a notes where you write down all the things you need to pay for before you start spending your money willy-nilly on whatever you want. You know, you can't just buy friggin' pair of shoes when you know your freaking electricity's due in a day. So make sure you write down all the bills you have to pay for. Like, this is when I get paid. These are the things I need to pay for that paycheck. Then you get, this is how much money that I actually have to spend. So make sure you stay organized. We could do a whole podcast about managing money, but definitely be successful financially. Make a plan.
I'm glad you guys were very responsible with the response because mine was not. So
Yeah.
here's our 3 ways to make travel affordable. Crystal, go for it.
Find an Airbnb. You don't have to spend a lot of money in a hotel. You know, you're going to be in the hotel for what? Sleeping, and that's it. It doesn't matter where you stay. It's about where you go when you get there. 2, make sure you are checking flights, whether that's like comparing on like Expedia or Google Flights. Make sure you compare travel. Don't just buy your flights on the freaking one that your parents told you. Make your research, find the flight. I'm going to tell you right now that the best times is like Wednesday morning, Tuesday morning to find flights, because that's usually when people don't buy stuff because you're in work. So Monday, Tuesday mornings at like 6 a.m. Look for flights. 3rd one, how to make travel affordable. Plan to eat in your hotel or Airbnb on some nights. You don't have to eat out every night. You don't have to eat special. If you're in New York, get a dollar pizza. It's not that important to like fully get a full meal for every meal every day. You know, make your food smart. 3 ways to make travel affordable. Steve.
One thing that you could do to make your travel affordable is to make an itinerary, plan your trip out, make sure that you are accounting for any extra costs that may pop up. Be prepared. I mean, we have the internet is it's a huge resource. You can find, like Crystal says, you can find different flights for cheap. They vary during different times of the day, morning, night, whenever. Make your comparisons. It doesn't have to be a 5-star hotel. It doesn't have to be first class. As long as it gets you there safely, that's what's important. But then again, you don't want to go on these rinky dink private planes where it costs you about a bag of chips to get you from here to Spain. Don't trust it. But yeah, definitely do your research. 3 ways to make travel affordable. Jun.
Number one, not really one to make it affordable, but hey, do it while you're in school. Study abroad because it's a way to do a pay later, vacation now sort of thing. Number two,
Nice.
travel in a big group. There's so many things that become so much cheaper when you split. You split. Car, whatever. All you gotta do is pay for petrol and go up the cars. Just make it travel in a big group. It
Nice.
A
definitely helps
car.
to make it affordable. And number 3, make things an experience. Don't always take an Uber to a place. Maybe just walk. You know, you can explore the way, do what you got to do while you're walking. And something that's new to cities, biking. Take the bike, go around on the bike. Super cheap, and it's a great way to get around.
So now everyone should be prepared to at least make some sort of effort to travel because it should be affordable. Or at least you can make it affordable.
So cheap.
So cheap. I don't know where that came from.
All right. So we're going to transition into either your favorite or worst travel story. I'm not sure if I have one. I'm sure it'll come by the time it comes back to me.
I'll go. I think I'm gonna go with my favorite travel story. I mean, I have like a worst, but it was still like a favorite. My favorite travel story is Australia. What do you know? It starts out pretty bleak. We decided to go hiking in Australia. It was, us three plus my friend Yaz. And, you know, we're trying to go to this place called Wedding Cake Rock. And if you're in Australia and you're listening to this, you know exactly where that is. It's freaking far if you park in the wrong parking lot. And trust me,
The
it's a freaking
bush.
trek. You freaking walk like 2 beaches, two mountains, like a million hills, through the freaking jungle. I'm like, I don't work out. All right, guys, I'm gonna say right now, I don't work out. I was freaking dying, out of breath. I felt like I was running out of water. I was getting nervous. I'm like, man, is this even worth it? We're like halfway there, and I'm looking at the map. I'm like, dang, we're only halfway there. I'm gonna die. I'm like, we went all this way. Let's just keep going. Finally, after 2 hours of literally the biggest trek of my life, we freaking get to Wedding Cake Rock. And what do you know? We see a sign that literally says, no trespassing. People will be, I don't know what it said. Dangerous fall. You can't go past this. There's a whole gate covering the whole Wedding Cake Rock. And, I'm not going to tell you to do this. All right. But, we decided to still get our pictures. And I'm going to send Jen some pictures to put on the screen right now. Uh, it was worth it. 2 hours later, literally so long of a walk. Like, even at one point, Steven and John were like up a mountain, and I'm like at the bottom, and I'm like, hey, give me 5 minutes. Like, I just need five. And Steven thinks I'm just like waving hi. So I see him and John like waving, giving me a thumbs up, and freaking leaving me. But even even after all that, it was worth it for the pics, and we had a good time. So that's like moral of the story. Just stick on through the hard times. It's gonna be worth it. The
Yeah, I
ending
love
is
that
worth
story.
it.
That's a great story. And for just for everybody there, our perspective is we were walking back and it was getting into nighttime. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the bush at
Yeah.
night. So if we want to get out of here and get to
Oh
our car,
my god.
we gotta go. But also, Crystal was a pretty good distance away. Like her catch-up time was probably an easy 10-minute walk between us and her. So
We were
to
at the
see
top of the
someone
hill.
ask for five really looks like they're saying hi. So
Yeah.
we're just there. We turn, we're
No,
like, yeah, let's go.
did you not see the sweat, the bloodshed tears in my eyes? Oh, that's so good.
I have my favorite story. This was a trip that it was for spring break when we were in Australia. What we ended up doing was we went to New Zealand. And I tell people all the time, they're like, "Oh, what's the best part of Australia?" I was like, "New Zealand." Um, and so this trip, we went to it's called Piha Beach, and it's a black sand beach, probably my favorite beach of all time. And one of the cappers of this trip, what made it perfect was that we ended up going to Auckland, New Zealand, which is, the size of my fist. That town is so small. You can literally explore it in 10 minutes. And for whatever weird alignment of the stars, there was another group of people from NYU that also went there. And they're like, oh, cool. We're in New Zealand at the same time. Let's all hang out. And we're like, oh, no, we got to ditch this crew. And so what we did is we're like, "Oh, Piha Beach, we wanna do this." And then what we told people, we're like, "Oh, you could only take a bus out to Piha Beach at 6 a.m. in the morning." And everyone was, like, going out, and we were, like, having fun drinking at a karaoke bar the night before, and we're like, "6 a.m." And everyone's like, maybe we won't do it." And so we were able to convince these guys to not go, and we went at 6 a.m. So it became a beautiful destination. There's great stuff. Maybe I'll put up pictures of Piha Beach right here. Very beautiful place. And also, we got rid of the people we didn't want to talk to.
Hey,
And it was just made the trip so much better.
Piha Beach. Now I want to
very
go.
nice.
Rip to those people who you ditched and they're listening to this pod.
One of my favorite uh, travel destinations was Disneyland. What was really nice about it was just me and Crystal. We had our own hotel room. We told them that it was our anniversary, so we got upgraded to the corner suite. It was so nice. They gave us champagne. They gave us dessert.
Cookies, yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. Served on a platter. It was It was great. So the hotel service was great. We go to Disneyland and we also tell them that it's our anniversary and that we're celebrating a birthday. We're like, it's my birthday and it just so happened to be our anniversary. That's why we're here. And so we
Travel
get
hack.
these commemorative pins that say it's my birthday and it's our anniversary. Um, but aside from that, I don't know how Crystal did it, but she was able to get me to go on almost every single roller coaster, every ride, and I am scared to death of these things. But I figured we're here, it's an experience. I could face these fears. And so I think that was one of my favorite travel stories because she was able to pull so much out of me and I was able to live out there in Disneyland, and we were basically celebrating our anniversary anyway, and it was my birthday, so a little white lie, but there is some truth to it, but it was a great experience.
Yeah, and if you like tell them it's your anniversary or birthday, like all the characters will know and they'll like come up to you, ask if you want a picture. It's like a whole nother experience. It was like a
Yeah,
life hack for sure.
Pro tip.
And like
Pro tip for Disneyland and probably Disney World too.
that was the first time we tried Dole Whip. Oh my god, 5 out of 5 crystals. Dole
nice.
Whip. It is legit. If you haven't tried Dole
It's
Whip,
pretty good.
it is so good.
Thanks for tuning in to our travel episode, Why It's Important to Leave Your Hometown. Uh, we got to talk to you a little about why it's important to move out, to study abroad, to go away for college. You get to learn so much about yourself and other people, make those connections. We talked about traveling, how to make it affordable. We gave you our favorite travel stories. We got a little bit of our worst parts of those favorite travel stories. Crystal's following me and Jen on this 4 mile hike. That's one way, people. She asked for 5 minutes. I gave her a thumbs up and we kept going.
I can't
Sorry.
believe it.
If you have a favorite travel story, let us know. Put it in the comments below. If you have a really horrible travel experience, let us know. Make sure we don't go through the same thing. I'm pretty interested in what you guys have to say. All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We are on the line, signing off. What button do I press?
And if you like that content and you want more content like that, make sure you hit the like button and you also subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. And if you do subscribe, hit that alerts button. You can be the first one to watch our new episodes every week. And we are on the line on Instagram and Twitter. So share your stories there as well. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Did I do that?